My friend insulted my pregnancy. So I ended our friendship.
Good. Get her out of there.
The natural chain of events that transpired.
It's not really much other options there. Many other options.
Okay. I'm so sorry, but this is about to be long. It's okay. On to the tea. I, 25, female, am currently 8 months pregnant and have recently removed my ex-bestie, 25 female, from all of my socials, unfriending her on Facebook and Snapchat, and then also removing her as a follower on Instagram. By the way, this comes from user ConversationTough235, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, the reason why I removed her was because I had come to this realization that maybe she wasn't my friend at all. But I'm also conflicted about this stance because I'm feeling major loss and sadness from cutting her off. Here is the context. Her and I used to be co-workers at a veterinary hospital at the time she had moved from a couple states over, and I was in charge of her training. We had hit it off really well, and we had exchanged our socials and numbers, eventually becoming great friends. The first instance of things starting to pop up came when there was a supervisor position that had opened up, and she was expressing to me how I should apply, how great I would be at the job, etc. Little did I know she had also applied but decided not to say anything until she was telling me about how the manager was telling her how much of a great fit she would be for the position. This stung a bit considering that I had been working there over a year at this point, and she had been there less than a couple months. But I tried my best to understand and be encouraging when I found out, pushing her to go through with the process. Fast forward through the first couple rounds of interviews, her and I had both progressed and we were both doing really well, hoping that maybe they'd have room for two. Being teased with it by management, of course. This is a spot where I personally effed up. There was this coworker that we both had that we equally did not love. This coworker was all around unkind to animals and owners, and it was a marvel how this coworker was employed for as long as she was. I caught her in the treatment area talking about how my friend was a major see you next Tuesday, out loud in front of other coworkers, and basically trying to get people to hop on the bandwagon with her. This made me so mad because who even does that? She doesn't even go here. I went to my friend with this, telling her about the situation and how annoying it was. My friend went to management, and I was written up for gossiping due to lack of evidence, even with eyewitnesses, including doctors.
Wait, I'm sorry. You were written up for gossiping when you said, hey, this person was insulting my friend. I don't think that's very nice.
Yeah.
What?
Sounds like a typical HR move right there.
Ay.
HR. I left the job very quickly after this, which is a smart move. After leaving that position, my friend and I still made it a habit to meet up for weekly grocery shopping trips, and we'd go out and get our nails done regularly. We were basically just living our hot girl lives as she eventually also left the job and moved on to a different veterinary clinic. Moving about 6 months forward, she ended up putting in a good word for me, and we ended up as coworkers once more at her new practice. This is where things get really messy.
Better get a broom.
So, at first, things started out great, with it feeling like a her and I against the world type situation. We'd go on errand runs together, pick up the company lunch, and then we'd basically just be hanging out all day since this place was a private practice and wasn't super busy.
Dude, like when you have those types of jobs where you're just kind of hanging out with your friend, that's fun.
Yeah. About a month into my job, something just snapped? I seriously have no clue what happened, but instead of explaining each individual situation, I'm just going to list them in the order as they were happening. I made a joke about getting pregnant pre-pregnancy, to which she responded very weirdly about how she picked her now husband very carefully because of his genes after making some offhanded comment about my husband. Things like he's tan with dark hair and eyes and a bigger boy, super untrue by the way, versus her husband who is pale with blonde hair and blue eyes and a gym guy. So we're just casually going to become Aryans now?
Oh, sorry, the Aryan race?
What? We're just going to stand the Aryan race now? What are we doing?
He's blonde and blue-eyed, so I had to go for him. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, she's like,
I went for him for his genes, and then the first thing that you say is, well, he was blonde and blue-eyed. Huh?
I found this really weird book called Eugenics. I don't know. It seems really smart, though. It's mostly science. If you read it, you'd understand.
That's exactly what she read.
I would ask her to help me brainstorm ideas for deep cleaning the hospital during downtime, or ask her to let me know if she needed help with anything. She would then wait until there would be a couple coworkers around to provide me with a list and say things like, I made you a list of things to do, and then basically dismiss me to go do the tasks. I wish this one wasn't so true, but she would only provide me with the list after a couple people were around. This one feels like my fault for sure, as I didn't gauge comfortability, but I once kissed her on the top of her head out of force of habit, as this is something I considered normal with my other friends, kissing cheeks, foreheads, top of head, etc. And she gave me the most disgusted look and pushed me away. I apologized for this, but received no response. I asked her once if she wanted to have a girls' night since both of our partners were out of town, and she turned me down because I like to do weird things like watch anime and play video games, even though I suggested a movie and wine night, never even suggesting said weird things. Oh, I'm sorry.
I hate this person.
Oh, you like weird things, which are literally the cultural zeitgeist of our time. Nice.
Yeah,
oh, you're a weirdo.
I really hate any sort of whenever someone puts down another person's interests because it's like, oh, it's weird, it's nerdy. Shut up.
I mean, I'm not going to say them, but there are things out there that are undeniably like weird.
Well, okay. Well,
but you know, I feel like now everyone's going to want me to say what they are, but I'm not gonna.
I already know.
I'm not gonna. You don't know. You have no idea what I'm thinking.
Oh, well, I know what I'm thinking.
When I found out I was pregnant, she was the first person I told. And her response, word for word, was, yikes. Are you going to keep it?
Oh my God. What?
Yeah, that's not a friend response at all.
Ooh,
In fact, that's an enemy response.
Oh, boy.
What happened? She made a comment about how I shouldn't be thinking about baby names because the baby is way more likely to pass away than survive after I was expressing my excitement and brainstorming up a list of baby names. Granted, I was only 7 weeks pregnant at the time, but it hurt all the same. Pregnancy has been super unkind to me. I was diagnosed with hyperemesis, but still tried to work through it when I could. We had another pregnant coworker who was coming back to work still pregnant. My friend was talking about how this coworker was going to run circles around me and how because the coworker is also pregnant, that my pregnancy was no excuse for my laziness. I snapped at her once because she was chuckling about a mistake I made. I cut her off before she could say anything that I wasn't in the mood today, and she stormed off after getting defensive, saying she was just going to ask me if I needed help. This is the first and only time I've ever snapped at her. After a few more weeks of bickering and my pregnancy sickness getting way worse, I ended up leaving the practice to stay at home full time. We ended up basically slowly drifting off, and she hadn't said anything to me since my 3rd month of pregnancy. I'm currently 8 months pregnant and decided that I didn't want her to be in my baby's life since I haven't heard from her in months and simply just can't shake off how our friendship ended. But with all that being said, she was really one of the only friends I had that was in the same town, and I feel guilty for cutting her off clean like this with no warning or attempt to reach out to her, since my last message of seeing how she was doing was met with no response. By the way, I want you to respond with the information that there are full episodes with stories like this by going to your podcast platform of choice, be that iHeartRadio, Spotify, iHeartRadio again, or Apple Podcasts.
And also,
iHeartRadio. Yeah. Search OK Storytime and you will find the entire archive of our stories.
OK Storytime and you will find our products.
Maybe just leave it at that. Search OK Storytime and you will find. We do have a little bit more story left. I'm going to go ahead and say, no, you're not the a-hole for cutting off someone who basically was like, I mean, yeah, your pregnancy is probably not going to happen.
PU. That lady stinks.
She's like an actual, like, the most op person. Like, if someone was your opposition,
it would be her.
Embarrassed.
It'd be her. Like, yeah, and then this stinky lady is being like, "Oops, no excuse."
Yeah.
See, she's pregnant.
It's like, hey, why don't we not compare pregnancies?
Comparison is the thief of joy.
So true. But let's finish this story off.
So am I the a-hole for cutting her off completely with no warning? I know I obviously have my faults and don't want to deny that I've had my fair share of wrongs in this friendship, but I have apologized for said things and worked hard to fix them to be a better friend to her, where she had not apologized once for her actions or how she had made me feel, hoping for constructive feedback if there is any, or validation if I'm not being crazy. Comments, she sounds exhausting to deal with. She sounds like a mean girl and thrives off of being a clown. You did the right thing. You don't need that drama in your life, especially while you're pregnant. Comment 2, she hasn't reached out in 5 months to see if you and the baby were okay. That says a lot about her character. She is not your friend. Oddly enough, the people at the first vet clinic that referred to her as a major see you next Tuesday was right.
That's true.
You have a baby to take care of and yourself. Just concentrate on that. Any real friend would have been making sure you were getting enough sleep and food, helped you clean your place and washed clothes, or helped you out. She's been gone for 5 months and that says a lot. Let it go. She's toxic to you. Imagine how jealous she's going to be of your baby. Comment 3 says, she sounds like the type that only thinks she's doing well if others are doing poorly. Big facts. And that is the end
Man.
of that story.
And there it is. And also the end of this episode. So if you
If
love us, we love you. And see you tomorrow.